Hello, so here's a video. I think I'm going to put it on YouTube, and it's all about really the place where the things that I've learnt as a ceramicist come together to as a theory that can be applied to drawing as well. And I think it's a really good theory, and it has massive implications for all of your creative activities. And it's a thought experiment that I learned when I was first in art college. So I went to art college as a potter, as a ceramicist, and I was very much taught. I went to Medway College of Design, and in those days it was all taught by practicing potters, and there was a really strong thread of the what they called the Anglo-Japanese tradition, which is where people built their own kilns. We were interested in glazing. I did spend an enormous amount of time learning about glazes. And there was a definite, very strict form that ceramics should take. I think this is the most brilliant thought experiment. And it all starts with an apple. So here's an apple. And we ask ourselves, how do we know that's an apple? So one thing that describes that apple is that it's round. And the second thing that describes that apple is that it's green. So we can develop a definition from that an apple is round and green. So let me bring out another. So here's something that's round and green. How do you know that isn't an apple? If I say bite into that, have a chunk of that, why will you say no? Because it's round and it's green, but it's not, but you're certain it's not an apple. And you can tell that it's not an apple, or your mind tells you it's not an apple, because this is too perfectly round. You actually know that even though you categorise that apple as being round, you instinctively know that something that's too perfect is not an apple. And so can you see we're stepping our first step into finding out about the way we think about perfection and the way that we respond to things, that we know that we can identify the difference between the tennis ball and the apple just by the subtleties of shape. So, all well and good, you know that something's not an apple. So the next thing I'm going to say to you is, okay, so that was a bit simple, wasn't it? Let's pretend that this is one of those perfect apples. You can buy them quite cheaply now, actually. That people have. It's a ceramic apple, and it's made to look exactly like a perfect apple. And it has all of the, beautifully drawn, I think it's all hand done as well, beautifully painted with all of that variation that a red and green apple would have. How do you know? I'm giving you this one and I'm saying, which one are you going to bite into? Are you going to bite into this apple, or are you going to bite into this apple? Which is the one that you would prefer? And your answer will be, actually, you'd have this one, wouldn't you? Because this one has a blemish on it. And so if you know that one of them's a ceramic apple and the other one is a edible apple, actually, the one with the blemish on it is the one that you're going to trust. You're not going to trust the apple that looks too perfect. And this is the contradiction in our perception. So when you have a pile of apples, you are looking for the best one. You are looking for the one that is the closest to perfection. However, you mistrust the one that is too perfect, the one that's too round, or the one that hasn't got any blemishes in it. And you can see manifestations of that in all sorts of things around us. So, for example, on the apple that they sell you in the shop, they actually put a blemish on it, don't they? And that little sticker there is marking out that apple's authenticity. It actually blemishes the perfection and beauty. Because, let's face it, you just couldn't tell the difference between a ceramic apple and a real apple in the supermarket, because they're all absolutely perfect, aren't they? But you're not going to buy those apples unless they have a little mark of authenticity. And actually, that little blemish there is its mark of authenticity. It says, I am real. And I think there's other ways I observe people wanting to put a blemish on things to prove its authenticity. For example, you know, all those beautiful pieces of computer equipment, they all come to absolute perfection from the factory, but we sort of mistrust them a little bit and we pop stickers all over them. I mean, kids pop stickers all over everything, don't they? And it's not quite about being personalising things. It's because you need something to authenticate. You need some supporting information that tells you that something is real and something's perfect. And this feeds into your own work. When you're creating an artwork, in the Anglo-Japanese tradition, they would be called maker's mark. So leaving that thumbprint or that mark that shows you know, the thumbprint from where you glazed the pot, for example, doesn't make it a second. That actually makes it more perfect. It proves the authenticity. It proves that it's been made by somebody. And you can apply this really to the drawings that you do. We're actually not striving for perfection. And actually we can create perfection digitally now. I mean, it's so easy. You get a photograph, you trace over the top, and something looks a bit wrong with those drawings that people do. I mean, some of them have got like absolutely perfect tones and everything, relative tone produced digitally. They're beautiful, aren't they? But there's something about it that's not quite right. And it's missing that authenticity. So, you know, get it wrong, folks. That's what I always say. Confident but wrong makes a much better drawing. Anyway, that's the apple experiment from the Anglo-Japanese tradition. Thank you very much for watching.